قال مولانا إمام الرضا عليه السلام اللهم صل على محمد لا يجتمع المال إلا بخصال 5 ببخل شديد وأمل طويل وحرص غالب وقطيعة الرحم وإيثار الدنيا على الآخرة. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Dear brothers and sisters, respected elders, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all of our worship, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the success and the tawfiq to gain His nearness. With that being said, today's topic is wealth, money, dollars, and contentment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about wealth in the Holy Quran as well as the Anbiya alayhimus salam and the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. But just before we get to the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt and the verses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let's speak of the reality. We all like wealth. Now don't look at me like I'm the only one. We all like it. We all like money. We all like dollars, right? And in the past century, you'll see that there is a bigger drive towards attaining wealth, making money, becoming more and more rich, becoming wealthy. And when you look at, the perception of money, maybe some decades ago, then the elders would say, "Paisa haath ki mail hai." Money is what? Merely the dirt of your hand. But is that entirely true? Is it true that it's just dirt, or is it such that where you see wealth and money, you'll see education? And if you look at the other contra side of it, where you see poverty, there's illiteracy. Is it such that you see where there is wealth and money, people or societies are respected? And when you see poverty, then you'll even find people to not even want to stand up and give you a hug. By the way, that's definitely not the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, would make sure to meet a poor person in the exact same manner that he would meet a wealthy person. And when he would speak to the masses and the crowd, everybody that would then, stand up and leave that majlis, everybody would make the same claim. What is that? Rasulullah spoke to me today. This is the kalam of Rasulullah. This is the way he carried himself. He made sure that everybody felt like they were deserving of his attention. He made sure to highlight that just because you have more wealth or money does not mean that you're more important than this person. And sometimes with money and wealth comes more responsibility. And in fact, not only sometimes, but every time. That's why we have another hadith where the Imam alayhi salam is explaining to a sahabi that the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not given you as much as fulan, that actually means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't want to burden you with the responsibility that He has. But nonetheless, is money not important? Is wealth not important? Of course it is. Of course it is. But the form of money that you are meant to attain has to be halal. The way you pursue it has to be Islamically appropriate. And then when you finally get it, you have to remember that this comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَيُنْفِقُونَ مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ. And they spend in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the rizq that what they have made, they have gained. No, the rizq that Allah has granted them. So in other words, we're just the beholder of this money. It truly comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expect me and you not to, spend the money on ourselves or our families? No. On our children, of course. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expects that. And yes, even when you use the money or spend the money on yourself, and by the way, when I'm speaking to you directly, I'm referring to my younger brothers. The elders know better than me. Even when you use it on yourself and you spend it on yourself and your families, make the niyyah of doing it qurbatan ila Allah. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you this money and you were meant to use it and spend it. Right? In fact, we have a hadith that will highlight and say, لا تضيقن قلوبكم على بناتكم. Do not have a narrow heart. Do not be narrow-fisted with your daughters. Spend on them. All of that is what? قربة إلى الله. But where is it? Where it becomes dangerous. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran speaks of it. Where He states in Surah Al-Hadid, verse number 20, اعلموا أنما الحياة الدنيا لعب ولهو وزينة وتفاخر بينكم وتكاثر في أموال والأولاد. Know that the life of this world is but play and amusement and adornment. And now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about a reality. Maybe about something that we can all relate to. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَتَفَاخُرْ بَيْنَكُمْ. And He says, and boasting among you and rivalry in wealth. And not only that, in children also. But I think in this era, not so much about the children, because everybody is worried about having just as many that can fit in the car now. Nobody has rivalry when it comes to children anymore. Back in the days, there was a rivalry even in that. There was a competition. People would make sure to have the most awlad, most sons. But that's not the case anymore, but definitely with money. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks of the part of your nafs that's always going to try and compare yourselves with others. I started out with a Toyota, right? And I saw somebody had a Mercedes. Now I'm going to go for the Merc, right? But I've reached that level already. So from a Merc, I'm going to try. I started out with the C-Class and now I'm trying to get the GLC. No disrespect for the GLCs, guys. I've seen GLCs in the parking lot, so that's not the point. But what I mean to say is that we then try to compare each other and there's this unspoken rivalry and competition. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking about. That's not healthy. Wealth is not bad, money is not bad, but when you start comparing yourselves with others and try to compete with others, that's when it becomes unhealthy. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah At-Tawbah states, فَلَا تُعْجِبُكَ أَمْوَالُهُمْ وَلَا أَوْلَادُهُمْ. So let not their wealth or their children impress you. You shouldn't be impressed with somebody's wealth. You shouldn't be impressed with how many children someone has. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it clear. Why? Because if you are meant to have some form of a healthy competition, it should be within Iman and with Taqwa. That is truly what counts, right? That's truly something which matters. As I'm trying to keep my talk within the half an hour as I've been told, let's move on. Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam then also speaks of wealth. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. And he states that wealth is indeed a good thing. There is absolutely nothing wrong with attaining wealth. Becoming rich is not bad. In fact, in the beginning of my speech, I tried to highlight that it's actually a need. It's a need. It's a means to thrive. If you want to be successful in this world, you need wealth, you need money. And that's why often when youth ask me that we're working hard to try and make money and become rich, it's not a bad thing. You should go for it as long as it's with the right balance. As long as you are making sure that you are doing it with the right balance, where you are also giving your family's time and on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's worship and ibadah time. Right? You're going to have to make sure to balance it, but with that, you can also work hard to try and make money. But the difficult part Or how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is then going to test you is to see how much of it are you actually spending, according to the mashi'ah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. According to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from me and you, right? So, being rich is not a bad thing in itself. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam says that. But with that being said, for those of you that try so hard to become rich, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because certain things come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants you His ni'mat and His blessings and wealth because He wants to test you. Sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that you are deserving of this and you will do good with this money. Janab Khadija salamullah alayha, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, was blessed with money and wealth. And Janab Khadija went through both aspects of it. One, she was deserving of it because she spent it in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the degree that even though there's a slight exaggeration in what the mu'arrikheen and the historians have said, when they state that the whole of Hijaz was in debt to Sayyidah Khadija, even though there's a slight, exaggeration within it, but imagine how many people were indebted. Imagine how many people had to, pay Janab Khadija back. But when they would come to Bibi Khadija, what would she say? She would say, don't worry about it. Come and say the kalima of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. I, Khadija, forgive you your loans. I, Khadija, forgive you. She's deserving of this money. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows where to put the wealth. And why she has that wealth? Because Sayyidah Khadija was fully aware of where to spend the money. Right? But was she also then tested by it? Yes, Janab Khadija was tested by it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave a luxurious life. And then Janab Khadija, he comes down to, the degree where they don't even have food and they're surviving on even leaves of trees. But this is Sayyidah Khadija for you. And that's why we don't compare any other from the Ummahatul Mu'mineen with Sayyidah Khadija. Not only because she's the mother of Sayyidah Zahra, but because of the iman and the sacrifice that she had for Islam. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So, having wealth, Amir al-Mu'mineen says it's not a bad thing. And even spending it. But I want to give you one example of Amir al-Mu'mineen spending the money that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted him. And in that there is a lot of lessons. It's a small, simple narration, but there's so many aspects to it. One day Amir al-Mu'mineen and his Sahabi Qambar, they're walking in a market. Amir al-Mu'mineen buys 2 thobes. And he says to Qambar, why don't you just choose one of them? One of them was expensive and the other one was cheap. Maybe had it been somebody like me, I would have kept the, expensive one and then just given the cheap one away. But no, this is Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. He says, Qambar, choose one. Qambar takes the one that is expensive. And another Sahabi comes up to Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam and he says, Ya Ali, you should have kept the one that was expensive and given away the cheap one. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam says something beautifully. He says, firstly, I understand بأنه شاب ويحب الزينة. First and foremost, I understand that Qambar is still young and he loves adornments, just like youth does. Look at the understanding of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. And then he continues and he says, فَأَمَّا أَنَا فَأَسْتَحِي مِنْ رَبِّي أَنْ أَتَمَيَّزَ عَلَيْهِ. Because, but for me, Ali ibn Abi Talib, I am embarrassed. I feel ashamed before my Lord that I would wear something better than this young Sahabi who's obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? Look, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam is teaching us that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant you money. But you have to spend it with the right balance, where you find that right proportion for yourself, for your families and the communities and the people around the world that have a haqq on your mal, because at the end of the day everything comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But for those of us that aren't exactly rich are not getting wealthy. As much as we try, have to remember one thing that Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam states once again. Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam states, Al-qana'atu kanzun la yanfa. Not yanfa, but yanfa. وَمَنْ قَنِعَ بِمَا رَزَقَهُ اللَّهُ فَهُوَ أَغْنَى النَّاسِ. Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam says that for those of you that doesn't necessarily have that much money that you would be called wealthy, know that there is a wealth that's bigger than any money that you could gain in this world. What is that? Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam says, Al-qana'ah. Be content with what Allah has given you. There is no bigger wealth than that. And if you look around you in this world, you'll see many, many successful people that will even die from depression. They'll die in the state of, even celebrities, they leave this world and they're still in debt. Why? Because me and you, we can never get enough of this world. The worldly things that we can gain, they will start from one end and it's endless. We'll keep trying to gain more and more and more. And I know that me and you can maybe say to ourselves that I'm trying to do this for one reason only, so that I can gain peace. I want contentment. I want peace. I want to have everything. But that's not how it works. There is a very toxic attraction to the worldly things that will keep drawing your nafs and you with the whole of your jism and your body towards it. And you'll never get enough. It starts with one thing, you want something better, and then something better than this, until it gets ridiculous. It gets nonsensical. So you can never get enough. But if you have qana'ah, and even if you have the worst job on earth pay-wise, but yet you have qana'ah and you're content, and you are able to come home by the end of the day and say shukran lillah, that's the best form of wealth. Because once you are content with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you, and this is another way of actually trusting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's qadr and qada. It's trusting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And that doesn't mean that we don't have to try our best. Of course, you have to put harakah into it. You have to put, effort into it, and you have to try your best. But at the end of the day, you have to let it be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Ya Rasulullah. Ya Rasulullah. Ya Ali. Ya Ali. And brothers and sisters, why is it that it's dangerous to find or to try to find that sukoon and tranquility and serenity from this world? Through the worldly things, through the materialistic things that you find before you, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam says, "Man radiya min ad-dunya bima yajzih, faqad istaghna wa araha nafsahu wa sallama dinah." Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam says, one who isn't content in this world will never find peace in his nafs. You'll always find yourself to be restless. You'll always find yourself to want more. You'll never get that peace of mind. So become what? Content. Have qana'ah in you, and you will find what Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam promised you. وَأَرَاحَ نَفْسَهُ. And he will find raha. He will find sukoon and tranquility and serenity within himself, within his nafs. وَسَلَّمَ دِينَهُ. And if you do not do so, if you don't have qana'ah, then Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam says, and then your religion will also be in danger. And is that not true? For people that will have no limit, as to how to gain money and how to be wealthy, they will go out of the way and they will forget what Deen Islam even allows you. They'll even present you these amazing schemes and the business models that will even have, some aspect of sadaqat and khums. And by the way, just to make something clear, You know, our teacher used to say us, you know the people that say astaghfirullah the most? Those are the people that you have to be extra careful with when it comes to promises, when it comes to money and business. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam says, when it comes to money, if you want to trust someone, you have to start small. See how the ta'amul goes and see how he lives up to his promises. Don't just blindly invest in something and then regret it later just because of someone's big mihrab or big beard. Not good enough, right? So to have qana'ah saves your religion in this world. If we go ahead and try to make money, you know, so eagerly that we forget what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set down as a limit, then you'll cross that and you'll no longer have a religion. But how worried should me as a Shi'i be? I'm just, you know, getting to the conclusion. As a Shi'i, what do I have to remember and how worried should I be if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hasn't granted me that amount that I thought or would think is good for me, and yet I claim that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the all-knowing? What is good for me? A poor person approaches Imam Sajjad alayhi salam and he says, Mawla, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala. He goes, Ana faqir, I'm a poor person. Mawla, help me out. Imam Sajjad alayhi salam calls upon a sahabi and gives him some money, but he says, listen, don't call yourself poor. You're not a faqir. He says, how? Mawla, I don't have any money. The Imam alayhi salam says, do you have the wilayah of us Ahlul Bayt in your heart? He says, yes, I do. He says, if I was to say to you that sell that wilayah that you carry in your hearts for the Ahlul Bayt, for Muhammad and Ahlul Bayt, for Muhammad and Ahlul Baytihi, for 100,000 dirham, 100,000 of golden coins, would you sell it? He said, Wallahi, if you would give me 10-folds of that, I would not sell my iman and the wilayah and the muhabba of you Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Then the Imam alayhi salam says, then you are not a poor person. The person who carries the wilayah of Ali ibn Abi Talib shouldn't be calling himself a faqir. He's not a faqir. Jiske dil mein muhabbat aur wilayat Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, wo faqir nahi hai. Is duniya mein ہماری چند احتیاجات ہیں. ہم ایک دوسرے کی مدد کی کہ محتاج کبھی کبھی رہتے ہیں, اور خداوند متعال کبھی بھی کسی بخیل انسان کے محتاج کسی کو نہ کرے. لیکن خداوند متعال کا یہ نظام ہے, کسی کے پاس تھوڑا پیسہ ہے, کسی کے پاس زیادہ ہے, اور جس کے پاس زیادہ ہے خدا اس کا امتحان لے رہا ہے کہ جس کے پاس پیسہ نہیں ہے وہ کیا کر رہا ہے. لیکن سامعین گرامی, اس دنیا میں مال اور جاہ اور خوبصورت کپڑے اور اچھی اچھی گاڑیوں سے بڑھ کر کوئی چیز ہے جس کو دین اسلام کہا گیا ہے, جس کو محمد و آل محمد کہا گیا ہے. اور اسی دین کو بچانے کی خاطر امام حسین علیہ السلام نے علل علانیہ جملہ کہا کہ میں نہ مال و دولت اور جاہ و منصب کے لیے بلکہ میں اصلاح امت جد کے لیے مدینہ چھوڑ رہا ہوں. لیکن 2 منٹ فقط تبرکن مجھے آپ کو زحمت دینی ہے. لیکن وطن, جو بزرگان یہاں پر بیٹھے ہیں جن کے ماں باپ آج اپنے اپنے وطنوں میں جو ہیں مدفون ہیں, وہ خود اس بات کی گواہی دیں گے کہ جہاں پر کسی کی ماں باپ نانا دادا دفن ہو, اس وطن کو چھوڑنا آسان نہیں ہوتا. اسی لیے ابا عبداللہ الحسین علیہ السلام کو جب خط بھجوایا گیا اور خط دیکھ کے امام علیہ السلام نے 3 مرتبہ آیت استرجاع پڑھا. خط والی کی طرف سے آ رہا ہے, یزید نے بھجوایا ہے, لیکن مولا نے 3 مرتبہ فقط ماں زہرا کی قبر کو دیکھ کے کہا انا للہ و انا الیہ راجعون. امام حسین علیہ السلام جانتے تھے کہ اب نانا کی امت مجھے یہاں پر رہنے کی اجازت نہیں دیتی ہے. عزادارو, 2 جملے مجھے عرض کرنے ہیں, سارے مصائب آپ سن چکے ہیں. آج کیونکہ شب جمعہ ہے اور اس رات میں گریہ کرنا ثواب ہے, فقط آنکھ آپ کی نم ہو جائے تو میں زحمات تمام کروں. ایک جملہ پڑھوں گا. امام حسین علیہ السلام ایک مرتبہ جب ولید کے دربار میں گئے تو ساتھ میں بنو ہاشم سب تھے. ایسا نہیں ہے, حضرت عباس علیہ السلام کو مولا حسین نے منع فرمایا تھا کہ عباس تلوار نہیں کھینچنی ہے جب تک میری صدا نہ سنو. ایک مرتبہ جب صدا بلند بھی ہوئی تو عباس نے تلوار نکالی بھی, تو مولا نے قبضہ تلوار پہ ہاتھ رکھ کے کہا عباس ابھی نہیں. شاید مولا عباس کو کربلا کے میدان میں یاد آیا ہو کہ مولا کاش اس وقت تو اجازت دی ہوتی. وہ غیور مولا عباس کہ جس کی جان اور رگ کو حسین کہتے ہیں. حالت کیا ہے؟ اب دربار سے جب پلٹ رہے ہیں، راوی کہتے ہیں، آیت اللہ اصفہانی اپنی کتاب میں لکھتے ہیں، وہ کہتے ہیں کہ آگے آگے مولا حسین چل رہے ہیں، ساتھ علی اکبر، اور جناب علی اکبر کو دیکھ کے کہتے ہیں جاؤ پتہ تو لگواؤ میرا شیر بھائی عباس کہاں گیا. جب ایک مرتبہ مڑ کے دیکھا تو عباس ہیں جو کبھی چل رہے ہیں تو کبھی گر رہے ہیں، کبھی چل رہے ہیں تو کبھی گر رہے ہیں. مولا حسین فرماتے علی اکبر چچا کو لاؤ، میرے ساتھ آ کے اسے کھڑا کرو. ایک مرتبہ جب مولا عباس آئے تو مولا حسین نے اپنے بھائی کو یوں گلے لگایا، کہا عباس کیا وجہ ہے؟ آج میرا شیر بھائی تھک گیا، آج میرا شیر بھائی ضعیف ہو گیا. مولا عباس فرماتے ہیں بھیا حسین قسم خدا کی آپ کا بھائی اسی طرح شیر ہے، لیکن میری ٹانگوں میں اس وقت سے اب کمزوری ہو گئی ہے جب سے کسی نے آپ کی طرف اشارہ کیا. عزادارو قربان ہو جاؤں، یہ وہ عباس ہے کہ جس نے اتنا برداشت نہ کیا کہ مولا حسین کی طرف کسی نے اشارہ کیا. اب عباس کی حالت کیا ہوگی جب حسین کربلا میں یکو تنہا رہ گئے اور ایک مرتبہ چار گرد سے دیکھا، نگاہ دوڑا کے کہا کہاں گئے ہو میرے شیرو، کہاں گئے ہو میرے علی اکبر، کہاں گئے ہو میرے عباس. الا لعنت اللہ علی قوم الظالمین وسيعلم الذین ظلموا علی محمد ای منقلب ینقلبون. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات، تابع بيننا وبينهم بالخيرات إنك مجيب الدعوات إنك على كل شيء قدير. اس قلیل سی عبادت کی مقبولیت کے لیے بآواز بلند صلوات.